Hey guys, I'm Teri Holland, Master Performance Coach, founder of The Empowered Life, and I'm a trainer of NLP, Hypnotherapy, and Timeline Therapy. So today we're going to talk about focus, and more specifically, focusing on what you want. Now I'm just going to give people a few minutes here to sign in, and while I do that, I'm going to share this from my page onto my personal page to help people find me. So as you're signing in, just say hello, let me know that you're watching, let me know that you're there. And if at any point you have a question about what we're talking about or a comment to share, then please do. So, just going to give people a moment to sign in as they notice that we're here. See if anyone's around. It's so close to Christmas that I know people have parties and engagements and last minute shopping and all kinds of things going on, but we'll see. We'll see who shows up and who jumps in. So we're going to talk about focus. We're going to talk about focusing on what you want. And I'll just let people give another minute or so. If you're already watching and I haven't noticed, then just give me a little hello. Let me know that you're there so that we can get started. Cool. Okay, so I see there's a couple of you joining now. Okay, so we'll get started. Okay, so we're talking about focusing on what you want. And the important thing there is what you want, because often people are focused on what they don't want, and then they're surprised at why they're getting results that they don't want. So here's the thing. We have to cover a few things before we talk about how this works. Let's talk about your unconscious mind for a moment and why this is really important to focus on what you want. So your unconscious mind is at the direction of your conscious mind. And you have a conscious mind and you have an unconscious mind. And I always say your conscious mind is the goal setter, your unconscious mind is the goal getter. So your unconscious mind is going to produce results in your life based on what you're consciously saying to yourself or consciously doing. So if you're consciously thinking about what it is that you don't want, your unconscious mind has no way of knowing that you don't want that. It just goes in the direction that you're focused on. And the unconscious mind works heavily on symbols. It's highly symbolic. So whatever pictures are coming up in your mind, whatever you're thinking about telling yourself, it goes with that. So here's how this works. A lot of people, they say, well, I'll say, what do you want? What is it that you want? And they'll say to me, well, what I don't want is to be broke, or I don't want to be sick, or I don't want to fight with my spouse anymore. And so what the unconscious mind hears is, or what the unconscious mind perceives, is that exactly what you don't want. And you're focusing on what you don't want. So it'll create what you don't want. It doesn't know that you don't want it. It's just giving you what it is you're thinking about. So you can't think about what you don't want to think about without thinking about it first. So think about that for a moment. You can't think about what you don't want to think about unless you think about it first. So if I were to tell you, don't think of a blue tree, don't think of a blue tree, I'm going to guess that you're thinking of a blue tree. Because you have to. In order to cancel out that thought, you first have to have the thought before you can stop thinking about it. So if what you're telling yourself is, I don't want this anymore, or I don't want that, I don't want to be this way, I don't want these results anymore, then guess what you're focusing on? Because you have to think about the thing you don't want before you can cancel out and stop thinking about it. And if you have any questions about this so far, please comment, ask your questions below, and I'll happily answer any of them. So this gets interesting because some people say, well, does it matter? If I'm thinking about what I don't want, but my intention is to have what I do want, or shouldn't the unconscious mind understand that that's not good for me, not what I don't want? Your unconscious mind serves you indiscriminately. So it doesn't know what's good or bad for you. It just goes with what it is you're focused on. It's just, okay, well, it's just focusing on not being sick. And to focus on not being sick, you have to think about being sick, which means you're actually focused on being sick. And you can test this when you're thinking, when you catch yourself thinking about something you don't want, think about what pictures were in your mind associated with that. Like, for example, and you're all free of this, but for example, if I think about don't be sick or not being sick, the pictures that come into my mind are being in bed sick. So what am I telling myself? I'm telling myself to create that reality. Now here's the other thing that's important to know. You have neurotransmitters that bathe your entire body. And what that means is that the moment you have a thought, as soon as you think something, that thought goes to every cell in your body instantly. So if we're talking about sickness, for example, where does that come from? If you're focusing on not being sick and you have a thought that's, I don't want to be sick, you're sending that thought to your entire body. So why not focus on what you do want, which is to be healthy? Because I don't know about you, but when I think about being healthy, I have a totally different picture that comes to mind. I have a very different representation in my mind of what that is, what that means. So focus on what you do want, and you'll start getting better results in your life. And don't take my word for it. Test it. I want you to go out and test this. Think about what kind of results are showing up in your life right now, and challenge your thinking to start focusing on what you want. So what gets in the way? What gets in the way of focusing on what we do want is we have all of these filters in our mind. So we filter everything. You filter all of your experiences, everything, every communication you have, everything that happens around you. You filter all of that in your mind through your memories of past experiences, through language, through your values, belief systems, through meta programs, through all of these things. You filter it through your neurology. And then you come up with this internal representation of what that thing is. So what we do as NLP practitioners and trainers and coaches is we help clean up the filters. We clean up your internal representations with you. So we help focus the mind towards what you want. Now, the other thing that you need to know about focus is an unfocused mind does nothing. An unfocused mind does nothing. So you can't focus on two things at once. I mean, you can, but you can't do it effectively, right? So imagine for a moment that you're in a giant warehouse, a great big warehouse with no windows, and there's no light in this warehouse, so it's completely pitch black. Now imagine for a moment that we put a 60-watt incandescent bulb in the center of this room, 60-watt incandescent light bulb in the center, and turn it on. Now you can probably imagine that light source is only going to illuminate a small dome of light around it, right? So there'll be a dome of light sort of in the center, and everything else around it will be pitch black. But you'll have this soft, hazy dome in the center. So now I want you to imagine a laser beam. So a 5-watt laser can shoot all the way to the moon and reflect back to Earth. That's the difference of focused energy. So when your mind is focused on all these things that you don't want and all these different ideas and all this stuff that's clogging up your neurology, so your past negative emotions and limiting decisions and all these things that are going on in your day and stress and the holidays and everything else, you're that 60-watt light bulb. So you're putting in a lot of energy, but the result isn't great because your focus isn't there. But you take that energy, and even less than that. I mean, this is a 5-watt laser, and it can shoot all the way to the moon and back to Earth, and they've seen this done. And it takes a lot less energy to produce that kind of result. And now a 100-watt laser can cut through steel. So how would you like your mind to be functioning? How do you want to perform? Do you want to perform like the 60-watt light bulb that puts out a lot of energy and gets a very limited result? Or do you want to focus all of that energy into getting one specific result and achieving greatness? I mean, I think that's a no-brainer, right? I really do. So it comes down to focusing on what you want. And the way to do that is cleaning up your neurology so that you can focus on what you want without all that background noise. And speaking of background noise, you might be hearing Rufus barking in the background there. Sorry about that. So that's it for tonight. That's what I want to talk to you about, is about focus. And for those of you who don't know yet, I'm doing a 100-day challenge where I'm going to be producing a live video every day for 100 days. And if you want more of these, just click the subscribe button or the follow button on my page and you'll get notified every time I'm live. I'm also gathering people to put into an inner circle group. And this group I'm only taking a few people for. And it's for people who want to help me spread my message. So if that sounds like you, if you're in line with what I'm saying and what I'm speaking on and what I want to do, then jump on board with me and become part of my inner circle. And that group will get some complimentary training from me, as well as more access to trainings and things that I do in the future. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you're having a great evening, and I hope you have a great holiday season. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.